Hey everyone, so I want to talk about Alexis Crawford, Jordyn Jones, and how stories like this are harbingers of doom for black women. And a harbinger of doom basically is a convoluted way of saying a bad omen, a signal of future bad things to come. A lot of times when we try to have certain conversations as black women, or really as black people in general, you'll have people that come along and say, oh, well, you're just speaking negatively. You feel this way because you're self hating or you hate other black people. And so, one thing that I've come to learn is that for many people in general, and for black people and black women specifically, a lot of times people just have to see things happen. Like they literally have to observe it and come to their own conclusions to really understand what's happening. Because I understand that many of us as black women have had a lot of meaningful associations and friendships with each other. And so, a lot of times, when you have someone come along to say, well, you have to be careful about certain types of people, you'll have other black women that say, well, you only feel this way because you're hateful and you demean other black women, right? That's what people will say. But then you continue to see example after example after example of women who will literally stab you in the back, or in the case of Alexis Crawford and Jordyn Jones, black women who will literally help a nigga kill you, right? You literally see this stuff over and over again. And I do feel like some of what's happening is, some of it is a universal warning to black women. Like some of this is the divine herself or himself saying that if you don't get the message, that I'm going to let you see it over and over and over and over again until you get the point. I'm going to literally make you come face to face with the reality that there are a lot of women who look like you who will literally set you up to be killed, or when it comes to social media, set you up to have your information compromised, set you up to be presented in a light that is not representing who you truly are. Like, I will make you see it over and over and over again until you get the point, until you get the message. And so that's why there are a lot of black women who are divested or BWE who are at this place where we are no longer kind of giving the warnings or raising the caution flags, because we understand that some people just have to see it for themselves. You just have to go through it personally or watch enough black women go through it to realize, like, wow, this is the situation that we're in. Some of what's going on with social media when it comes to the way that these black men are horrible in the way that they speak about black women, in the way that they generalize and stereotype us. It's like, okay, we can talk about it all day long. We can say the language is toxic. It's spilling over into the ways that other people deal with us in real life when it comes to housing discrimination, job discrimination, and indeed the ways that, for those black women who are primarily attracted to black men, in your dating lives. Like, we can talk about it over and over again, but maybe there are a lot of black women that just have to go through it and experience it. You just have to see it for yourself and understand that while these men are serious, they're not joking, they're not playing. It's not something that they're just saying for views and clicks and likes on YouTube. This is how they really feel. And honestly, it's heartbreaking because I look at the out of wedlock birth rates. I look at the marital rates for black women who only date one specific race of men. And it's like, well, damn. It's like a universal game of limbo. How low will the marital rates have to go for a lot of black women to understand that this is the way that a lot of black men feel? How high will the out of wedlock rates have to go for black women to understand that, wow, there are a lot of black men who really do not feel like they have to provide a traditional fatherly role to their black children. Like, I see what's happening on social media with the ways that you do have a lot of black men who are no longer just giving their general opinions on single motherhood amongst black women, but they are finding black women on social media to dissect and pick apart. And it's like, well, you know what? Maybe you just need to see it. Maybe you need to see it, and you need to not only hear the black male content creators, right? But maybe you have to see the number of black men that they have supporting them. Maybe you need to see the comments of the black men in the comment sections or in the live chats to understand how these men really feel about you. You know what I mean? All these conversations about weave and makeup to me are dumb because women, we will always find ways to beautify ourselves. And don't get me wrong, many of us understand that we don't have to, use weave and makeup to enhance our appearance. But since the beginning of time, women have always found ways to, make jewelry or do other things to make ourselves look the way we want to look on a particular day, right? But maybe you just have to see the effects of it. And the further I get, just on my own personal path, the more I realize that maybe that's part of my lesson. Understanding that a lot of you just have to see it for yourselves. A lot of you just have to understand that it doesn't matter how nice you are to these dudes, how cool you are to them, how much you agree with them. At the end of the day, they're not going to view you any differently than they view other black women, because the issue is not that they just have a problem with certain black women. The issue is that they devalue black womanhood overall. But maybe the only way that some black women will understand it is to just see it for themselves. See it for yourself, live through it, and go from there. Because one thing I've always observed in my personal life is that we all have to be very careful about the things that we wish for other people and the things that we speak on other people. Because sometimes when you wish some negative shit on another person, you're really cursing yourself. So I've seen a lot of people over the years say certain things about black women who are not hive-minded, right? And that's kind of how I feel about black women who are free-thinking and who tend to be self-first, right? We're not part of the hive mentality. But you'll have a lot of other black women who say, well, I wouldn't want to be you, or they would perhaps suggest that they would rather be in certain situations than to think like us. And it's like, damn, life will make you literally walk through that experience. And maybe that's what some people have to go through. Maybe they literally have to go through it themselves to realize, yes, the world is a cruel and unfeeling place. And when you're a black woman and you're in certain situations, the world really don't give a fuck about you. And maybe there are some people that when they look back on it, they'll realize, well, the black women who were honest enough to tell you, these men don't care about you, this is how they really feel about you, those were the people who really gave a fuck. The people who cared enough to be honest with you and who cared enough to not lie to you and feed into your emotions are the people who really cared because they wanted to prevent you from experiencing certain things. But maybe when you see certain things like the STD rates amongst black women in certain parts of the country, and I'm talking about adult black women, I'm not talking about underage girls, I'm talking about grown ass women who fucking know better. Maybe they have to go through that. Maybe certain black women have to experience what it's like to go through men not caring about their children. Maybe certain black women have to experience what it's like to be, beautiful and accomplished and have everything going for you and to deal with men who will devalue you simply because you're a black woman. Maybe certain women have to go through it to understand that these men are serious. They don't value black women. They don't value you whether you have kids or not, whether you're fertile or not, whether you're light skinned or dark skinned or biracial or not, whether you're whatever. They don't value you because you, in their minds, are a reflection of black womanhood. But the scary thing to me is this question of how low is it going to have to go? Like, how low will the bar have to be set for the majority of black women to really understand the position that we're in? And for those of us who are divested or BWE, I do think it's important for us to continue to maintain our channels and have our spaces. But if you choose to lend your voice to these conversations, understand that it's not going to be too many black women who will really agree with you or who will really even be open-minded enough to approach the conversations without being combative. And as long as you understand that, it's okay. Because the way I feel about it is whether it's one black woman who hears the conversations in our spaces and is able to save herself, or 100,000 black women. No matter what the number is, as long as there's a certain number who will not deal with the complications and hardships, I do feel like it's worth it for us to have these conversations. But just understand that for every black woman who comes to this space and at least understands what we're saying, it's going to be 10 or 50 or 100 who will push back against it. And that's okay. Because for the people who push back against it, it means that part of their path, part of their life journey means they have to literally experience it. They have to experience it to understand it. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great day, morning, evening, whenever you hear this, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.